It is being recorded. If any other persons present are doing the same, they must notify the chair at this time. Is anybody else recording the meeting? Usually it is not. No. Okey doke. So the agenda starts with the attendance. So David is on vacation. Butch Hawkins is present. Mayor,
Here.
Chief,
I'm here.
Diana, Steve,
Here.
Jean,
Here.
Amy,
Here.
Jen,
Here.
and Jim Wen. Right, we have a quorum. Right, next item on the agenda is the approval of the meeting minutes for January 11th and February the 8th. And January 11th meeting. Present was myself, the mayor, the chief, Diana, Jen, Jean, Amy, and Jim Wen.
Make a motion.
Go ahead.
Make a motion to accept the first set of meetings.
Okay, is there a second?
Second, disorder.
Any further discussion on those minutes? Hearing none. How do you vote? I vote to approve. Mayor,
Yes.
chief,
Yes.
Steve?
Abstain. I
Oh,
was
stay right. Gotta get back. Yeah, votes. Amy?
Yes.
Who did I miss? Jen?
Yes. And
Okay.
I'm yes. You missed me.
Yeah, and Jean, yeah. All right. Try to do better on the next one here. Okay, February the 8th. Is there a motion?
Make a motion to accept. Can you read off the names?
I
of
will.
attend-
Yeah, I will. So I was present. The mayor was present, chief was present, Jean Wall, Jen, and Steve.
Make a motion to accept.
Okay, is there a second?
second.
Hey, is there any further discussion on the minutes? Hearing none, I vote to approve. Mayor,
Yes.
chief,
Yes.
Diana, she showed up yet? No?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Jean,
Yes.
Jen,
Yes.
Jim, not yet, and Steve.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay. The agenda is the budget update, budget invoices, and current budget status. I'll turn it over to Neil. I'm sorry for the late notification, everybody. It just came in and I forwarded it to you as soon as I got it.
Some weeks are better than others, Butch, believe me. So I will just roll through the 3 payment recommendation letters that have been made over the past month. I will share my screen so everyone can follow along. Hold on one second. Okay, everybody can see that?
Yep, I can.
Payment letter from February 15th, which is just after our last meeting. We received the bill for Eversource. That's for the permanent power connection to their grid. So from the pole to the transformer, in the amount of $9,417.35. Colliers, who is our commissioning agent, in the amount of $5,655.72. Box Modular Vanguard for their lease payment for the office trailers for the temporary station, $8,437. And Dream Seats LLC, the amount of $9,564.44. That's for the soft seating at the at the permanent fire station, excuse me. So total from that letter, $33,074.51. Any questions on those? I will move on to the next. March 13th, again, Collier's our commissioning agent in the amount of $2,710. Pacheco Ross, our architect, in the amount of $10,500. This was part of the ad service that was approved last month. Motorola Solutions, who are providing our radio and communications equipment, $11,247.78. GSET, which is the fiber network that is provided by the city, $440. Construction monitoring services in the amount of $76,000. And New England Builders and Contractors, 2 invoices, applications 21 and 22 for 2 months of rental for the apparatus bays, $49,890. For a total from this letter, $150,787.78. Any questions?
Make a motion to accept.
Oh, hold on.
We
And
got one
then
more.
One more, last was received and finalized today for DA Sullivan, application number 17 in the amount of $265,332.84 for services and completed work in February of 24. So that is all of them.
Make a motion to accept.
Second.
Second. Any further discussion on the invoices?
Could I just,
Sure.
Neil, did we get, oh, I see at the top, maybe I missed it, but did you send a budget update along with that? Would it have been in another tab?
I have the budget update coming up on the screen next.
Oh, okay.
And
I wasn't
and
sure
it
if I
was,
saw it.
Diana, it was in the last email that I forwarded to you this afternoon. It
Oh,
was a
okay.
separate file.
All right, thank you.
Any questions on the invoices? Great segue, Diana. We'll go to the budget update.
Let's vote on them.
Yeah, we have a motion.
Yep.
Sorry, Butch.
That's okay. So I vote to approve. Mayor,
yes,
Chief,
Yes.
Diana,
Yes.
Steve. Steve? Won't come up? Okay, I see you waving yes. Jean,
Yes.
Amy,
Yes.
Jen,
Yes.
and Jim Wynn if he's jumped in yet.
Yes.
Okay, hi, Jim. Thank you. All right, next item, there it is, the budget update.
So this budget represents those payments that we just read off in addition to past invoices processed by the city. So our total expenditure to date is $18,140,350. We have a balance of just over 3.55 million left in the overall budget. I previously explained the nature of the payments this month, but I'm happy to take any additional questions that the city may have on the budget. I will say this budget includes an adjustment for project contingencies for the change orders that will be voted later in this meeting. So, Butch, if you want to hold on the vote of the budget until later, we can go through and approve the change orders first and then circle back around and take the committee vote on the budget, if that makes sense.
That makes sense. We should do that. One other question, Neil, just explain where we are on retainage and why we think we should just hang on a little while longer.
So right now, on invoices paid to DA Sullivan, we hold back 5% retainage on all payments to the contractor. So that is not reflected in the 12,866,695 number. That is the actual payment that we've made them to date. The difference is roughly $1.9 million, and it's the difference between the $14,768,099, which is their current contract value, inclusive of change orders 1 through 13, and $12,866,695, which is their amount that we have paid. So the difference, 1.9 million, is a combination of incomplete work as well as 5% retainage on all completed work. And according to the terms of the contract between the city and DA Sullivan, they are entitled to a reduction in retainage once they have achieved substantial completion. And a condition of substantial completion in the terms of the statute is that the building is ready to be occupied for the language in the statute is for beneficial use and occupancy of the city. And they have not yet attained that result. So the city recommendation was to hold off on any reduction of retainage. We did receive an application for payment from the contractor for a reduction, and that processing of that invoice was tabled.
Everybody good with that? Well, that's the only thing that really stood out that I wanted to make committee members aware of. Okay, the next item is the change order. Monday's meeting, we had a lot that we went over. And so what I did is I tried to put everything into the agenda to meet the 48-hour deadline under the open meeting law. Well, some of these things in the intervening time were reviewed and either set aside or not recommended to go forward. Most of these items could have actually been handled by the subcommittee because they're under 25,000, but I kind of feel that we're getting late in the game. We're trying to finish up, and while people think the building's pretty much all done, it shows there's still a fair amount that's going on there. And I just want to call your attention to number 29 that's not being recommended by the design team. Number 46 has been completed. It was authorized. Came up, so I put it on, but I shouldn't have. And then items that we're going to discuss about holding is number 50. We're going to ask for a hold on that. 51, we're going to explain what it is and put that on hold, as well as 52. And then the rest of them, I would ask Neil just to go through them if he would for us.
Sure.
If folks have questions.
Yep. So the changes that we're requesting approval on have been organized into 5 different change orders. I would say don't ask me why, but that's just the way that they were delivered. So I will go through them in the order by change order, and those can be referenced by the PCO numbers that are included on the meeting agenda. So the first item was change order 9. It was one item. It's PCO 48 for some additional timber guardrail at the driveway at a cost of $24,997. That was previously authorized to proceed because of lead time requirements by the change order review group. Change order number 10 has been prepared for additional blocking at overhead doors for the outbuilding. That was PCO number 27 in the amount of $6,303. Change order 11 is for modifications to the EV charging station. That is PCO number 43 in the amount of $2,781. Change order 12 has 8 items associated with it, I believe. The first one is blocking at the snow guards for the main building. It's PCO number 15 in the amount of $1,012. Additional water lines, those are just small water service lines in 3 locations at the new building. It's PCO number 18 in the amount of $6,592. Blocking on the snow guards at the outbuilding, PCO number 25 in the amount of $2,997. Protection for the trap primers at the hose or the feed box, as it's called, PCO number 42, $2,078. A similar change for the trap primer lines adjacent to the fire pole, PCO number 44 was $1,051. The additional masonry sign base out on Main Street at the front of the building is PCO number 45 in the amount of $8,081. Grinding the floor at the door opening, PCO number 47 in the amount of $1,292. And an additional disconnect, it's a piece of electrical equipment at heat pump number 2 was PCO number 49 in the amount of $4,491. And then lastly, change order 13 was 2 PCOs for additional work that we had asked DA Sullivan to help the project out with. The first one was a collection of 4 or 5 items, and they included the addition of a concrete pad at the grill, the addition of a concrete pad at the mailbox, the assembly of the new kitchen table that was provided to the firehouse, relocating 2 exit signs and patching drywalls at TV locations that were changed during coordination. So the sum of all those work was all done on time and materials and verified by our site representative. And the total of that work was $7,556. And PCO number 55 was additional carpentry items located throughout the building. This was more of a FF&E, additional picture railings that the department wanted that hold the photographs of all of the prior fire chiefs, as well as some furniture assembly. And that amounted to 80 hours worth of work, 2 carpenters for a week. It was $9,338. So the sum of all of that work is $78,569. I'd be happy to take any questions.
I'll make a motion to accept.
A second?
Second.
Any
I'll
further
second it.
questions on those changes at all? No, hearing none. Back to my little sheet. Okay, so I vote to approve the changes. Mayor,
yes,
Chief,
Yes.
Diana? Diana?
Yes.
Oh, thank you. Steve,
Yes.
Jean,
Yes.
Amy,
Yes.
Jen,
Yes.
and Jim.
Yes.
And before we jump back to the budget, Neil, can we just, maybe these are a couple items the chief might want to speak to, because PCO 51 was window blinds and shades. We wanted to bring it before the committee for discussion. And the other one was PCO 52, fencing on the south side of the property. Just to make the committee aware of, these are some additional things that we may have to talk about in the near future. You wanted to speak to those, Chief?
Sure, I'd be happy to. So the window blinds and shades was some additional blinds that weren't included as part of the project. including in the training room and the radio room. We did put a request in for information and a proposal, but due to the cost, was recommended not to move forward until we get closer to the end of the project. In addition to that, the second one is there is some debris, trash and stuff that comes up from the railroad track, plus some security concerns. So we have recommended that we install a regular fence in the back of the firehouse along our property. Again, same rationale. We want to wait until closer to the end of the project to make sure that we don't have any more surprise expenditures before pushing that forward.
Any questions by anybody on those items? I'm sure they'll be coming up again, so have plenty of time to talk about them.
Can I just ask a question about what we just voted under change order 12? The item for the sign base, Chief,
Yep.
is that the electronic sign base?
So
Or
it
a
is,
different piece?
it is regardless of the status of the sign base. We have some other options going down. This is just the base for it. Or we can change it to something different. The stone and materials is already there and it's left over from the project. And so this is the price of the labor to install this, which could turn into a sign for an address. It could turn into other things, but it is more expensive now. It would be more expensive to have the contractors come back after they leave. They're going to be on site finishing up, and they would do that as part of it. And that is just the labor to do that.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, Neil, I guess you can go back to the budget with the inclusion of those into the budget.
Okay. So with those included, you'll see the reduction, the corresponding reduction in contingency. It was 390,000 or was 370,000 last month. It's now been reduced by the $78,000 to 297,259. So that is the amount of money that is currently unallocated and available to the project for any remaining expenses.
Questions by anybody on the revised budget?
I have
I
another
just-
question, Butch, if I could. Oh,
Sure,
I'm
go right
sorry.
ahead.
I didn't mean to
Yep.
interrupt. I
Yep.
just, so in our, I have a breakdown that we use on our, in the finance office as far as the budget, just to make sure we're following along with Neil's, how he's allocating the money. And one of the things I just wanted to ask about was the USDA grant funds. So it seems as the project received some grant money from USDA, and it looks like it was, there's some money left, about $422,000. That seems like it's part of this budget. Is that correct, Neil, or am I misunderstanding that? And is that money that can just be used, is that just in the project now, or was that for a specific use?
So I believe, Diana, that the USDA funds were tied to specific elements that were part of the project. For example, I think the outbuilding in its entirety was a big piece of that. I think there were some additional funds for some technology and some other items that were
Generator.
also incorporated into the project. The $1 million or 900 and whatever $1,000 grant is part of our $21.7 million total budget.
Right.
And I believe that we have to do some breakout and some reverse economics to demonstrate how we spent the money for the grant. So it's not separate on our budget, but it's all cooked into the numbers that are in the project already.
That was for the generator too, wasn't it, Neil? I think that was one of the big items.
It may have been, yes.
I forgot what the other, I forgot what the other item was.
I have I have a comment.
Okay,
Because I have to go, but I noticed that we're getting down on the contingency. And there's 297,000 there. And I would think perhaps we shouldn't do any more change orders because we don't know how many more months we're actually going to be where we are. I wouldn't want us to be over. I don't see any other leeway on that. So that was just a comment. Diana and I had talked about that, and I said I would just bring that up at this meeting.
sure. Neil, do you want to respond to that at all?
Only to say that we are currently under lease agreement with the various parties until July timeframe. Those numbers are already anticipated and already expected and included within the budget update that we're looking at. Anything after July would certainly have to come from contingency. But we're certainly hoping that we're in the station long before July and that the temporary structures are ready to be turned over to the contractors for their removal at that point in time. That's our target. It's our timeline. We're pushing pretty hard to get there.
We are pushing hard. So in a nutshell, we're in good shape right now.
Feel comfortable.
Perfect. Does that answer your question, Mayor?
It does. I just want to make sure that we do have enough left in that. That's all. Diana and I had talked about that today. So
We've been working hard for 2 months or more to make
very
sure.
good. I
that we're
have to
within
go.
budget.
I'm going to leave this under to the rest of your good guidance.
Thank you, Mayor.
Any more questions on the budget? Is there a motion to accept the budget as presented?
So
So,
second,
All right, all those in favor? Aye. I vote yes. Mayor, you still on? Chief,
Yeah,
Diana?
Yes.
Very good. Steve,
yes.
Jean,
yes.
Amy,
Yes.
Jen,
Yes.
and Jim.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Okay, the next item on the agenda is just a project update by the design team in the OPM. I've listed some of the big items that we're working on.
Sorry, Butch.
One of you got, one of you two want to jump on those? It's good.
Yep, I'll take them and Katrina can jump in if need be. From the budget, from the agenda, the switch in the electrical gear. We were waiting, I think as of today, we were anticipating delivery of the automatic transfer switch, which is part of the generator assembly. It's the device that tells the generator when to turn on when there's a loss in normal power. Once that lands, it will be installed and the generator is scheduled to arrive in late April. So we do have a contingency plan in the event that the generator is not ready at the end of April. We can install a storm switch, they call it, which facilitates a remote or a rented generator to come in and plug into the building in the event there's a power loss. So that is the intended path forward. The chiller date, I believe we had shared with you at the last meeting that we got some bad news on the chiller, that it is not anticipated to arrive until late June. the good news is that the chiller provides, I know this is rather ironic, but the chiller provides the heating that's required in the radiant floor. So, in the event that the chiller comes in late, we should be able to occupy the building. We just could not turn on the radiant heat flooring, the radiant heat in the floor of the apparatus bays until that piece of equipment was installed. And I will speak out of order and just get to the intended occupancy date. I think I had mentioned earlier, right now, we're targeting, permanent power, hopefully by the end of this month or the first week in April. And then we'll have a commissioning effort that will take place in the spring and get the building open, balanced, and ready for occupancy in the early part of May, somewhere right now between May 1st and May 15th. And that would allow about 6 weeks of time to take the existing temporary station apart and have it ready to be turned over to the contractors in July as planned. So that's sort of our snapshot at a remaining schedule, and pulling all the various pieces and parts together for occupancy between now and mid-May is certainly going to take a lot of effort and a lot of attention with all parties. So we're doing the best we can.
So on those items, anyone have any questions?
Nope.
Good. Neil,
And
can you,
Butch, I-
can you,
I do have the dedication plaque graphic.
yeah, can you
if
put
wanna
that up
see
on the
that
screen
again.
for us? Thanks.
Yep.
Because I think there was 3 or 4 emails sent, or different.
Yep.
There you go.
So I'll zoom out. So that is the dedication plaque as it has been designed. I will zoom in, and I would like to have everybody have the opportunity to review their names and make sure that everything has been spelled correctly. I already am aware of one mistake that will be corrected in the final version. It's not related to the committee. They spelled the name of the city that our office is in incorrectly. So we caught that on the review. The plaque reads, City of Greenfield, Fire Headquarters 2024, Mayor Roxanne Weidergartner, 2020 through 2024, Mayor Virginia Disorder, 2024, Fire Chief Robert A. Strahan. Has the city's logo on the left, the Greenfield Fire logo on the right. It identifies the building committee. I'll pause here. Robert E. Hawkins, co-chair, David J. Singer, co-chair, Peter MacGyver, secretary, and then Carol Collins, Greg Diefendorf, Steve Draculich, Fernando Fleury, Liz Gilman, Amy McMahon, Laura Phelps, Diana Schindler, Jennifer Stromston, George Vandelinder, Gene Wall, and James Wynn. And I'll give it a minute just for everybody to soak it in and just double check their spelling. If any corrections are needed, please forward them back through Butch. And then at the bottom of the plaque, the architect, H2M Architects and Engineers Incorporated, Troy, New York. Owner's project manager, Construction Monitoring Services, Inc., out of Marlboro. General contractor, D.A. Sullivan, Northampton. And a special thank you to the Greenfield City Council, the U.S. Department of Agriculture, and the Greenfield Department of Public Works.
Nice.
Nice looking plaque.
Yeah, very nice.
Okay?
Everybody
Yep.
good with that?
Yep.
But
So
should
the-
we accept that through a motion?
the motion to accept it as presented? Why
So
not?
moved.
Second?
I'll second it.
Okay. I vote yes. Mayor's gone. Chief? Chief? We lose you? Diana?
Yes, I
Oh,
vote, I
thank
vote
you.
yes.
Okay, thank you. Diana?
Yes.
And Steve?
Yes.
Jean?
Yes.
Amy?
Yes.
Jen?
Yes.
And Jim? Thank you.
Yes,
Okay, the other item that maybe the chief should speak to is it's for informational purposes, but it's gonna be needed at some point for safety is traffic control light on Main Street. You wanna just jump in and speak to that? It's not within our project per se, more of a city issue, but it does relate totally to the safety, along with the fact that they're gonna change the parking from diagonal to parallel on both sides of the street in front of the fire station, which will add a level of, well, it'll widen the road, and add a level of safety for sight both ways and getting in and out of the fire station. So that's already a result of the traffic study we have done. But the control light was also mentioned in that study as well. Maybe the chief can jump in and speak to that issue.
Sure, Butch, I'm happy to. So a while ago in the project, there was some concerns raised by several citizens about the access of the fire trucks onto Main Street, and there was multiple questions asked about a light there. So a traffic study was done, and it came back that there is no requirement for a traffic light in that location. It is on the verge of requiring a hybrid light, which is basically as you're coming up the trail, when the trucks pull out, the light turns red, but there's no requirement for that. And it is not been completely determined if it's needed at this time. The thing that was presented to you in the committee for future review, again, it's going to come down to finances that are left within the project. As you head to the east on Main Street, we have a system called an Opticom system. That Opticom system is a light that comes off our vehicles that when a sensor sees it, it changes all the lights at the intersection red, except for the way that we're going. The problem that we have on Main Street that we anticipate is that as you go east, when you get to about the Vets Mall, there is a little bit of a right-hand bend that goes to the intersection. These devices need line of sight. And so that bend, there's typically traffic that's backed up around that corner, especially on a Friday afternoon and whatnot. Putting a sensor on that corner would allow the fire trucks to trigger the lights a lot sooner on Main Street than having to get around the corner and doing line of sight right at the intersection. So we did talk to the design people that do the lights, and they came back with a quote of, I think it's around $23,000 to update and upgrade those intersection light Opticoms. So it is something that we anticipate that we are going to need. But again, we are waiting to see how the project flushes out. Thank you.
Any questions for the chief on that? Okay. Wait, next meeting is scheduled for April 11th. Got a lot done. That was great. To adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay.
second,
Vote yes. Mayor, Chief,
Yes.
Diana,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
Jean,
Yes.
Amy,
Yes.
Jen, and Jim.
Yes.
yes.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.